This is my PowerPoint presentation on technology, trends, and education. I believe that the trend that will change education most radically in the future is a move away from desktop machines to integrated mobile units. Handheld devices such as a smartphone, iPad, Nook, and many others are becoming more affordable and more convenient to use. The majority of students have some kind of handheld device, usually a cell phone, but often they have more than one. They have a cell phone and a Nook, or a cell phone and an iPad. Most students now would be considered digital natives, or children who have been brought up with technology. This cartoon demonstrates a digital native, with the teacher saying there aren't any icons to click, it's a chalkboard, and the student kind of expecting to have some sort of technology rather than just a plain old boring chalkboard and a piece of chalk. According to Anya Kamenetz of Fast Company magazine, the new connectedness isn't just for the rich. Mobile adoption is happening faster worldwide than that of color TV a half century ago. And a difference from color TV would be that the handheld devices are actually interactive, whereas a TV you're just kind of sitting there watching it, taking it all in. But mobile phone subscribers hit approximately 5 billion during 2010, and more than 2 billion of those live in developing countries, with the fastest growth in Africa. So even countries that aren't particularly rich, who still have a lot of developing to do, are able to have cell phones and use them. The cell phone, is it an educational tool or a distraction? The smartphone is the tool that I believe will become important to education first, and I think it's already starting to become important. 1/3 of cell owners, about 33%, say that their phone is a smartphone. And when asked what device they normally use to access the internet, 25% of smartphone owners say that they mostly go online using their phone rather than with a computer. In a survey by NPD Group, people were asked which of the following activities do you perform on your smartphone, and this chart illustrates the results. Obviously, most people do email, but many browse the internet. Instant messaging, chatting with text and video is also pretty prevalent, and then you have the photo capturing, editing, sharing function. Even young children are joining the wireless revolution. Over 20% of 6 to 9-year-olds and 60% of 10 to 14-year-olds own a cell phone, according to CNR research. About 65% of the U.S. population, or over 200 million people, will have a smartphone and or tablet in 2015, according to the research firm Instat. So the prevalence of the cell phone and other handheld devices such as the iPad and the Kindle and whatnot is becoming very great and will continue to increase as time goes on. The advantages to using handheld devices in the classroom are pretty great. Most students already have one, so it's not like schools have to go out and get them. It's easy to access a wealth of information very quickly, so you have the internet at the touch of a finger. There are many different features to accommodate learning. Students already know how to use them, so teachers do not have to spend a lot of time teaching them. On the opposite end of that, however, some of the teachers don't know how to use them, so it's a little awkward when the students know how to use the technology and the teachers don't. They are multisensory and accommodate different learning styles, and they're also very fun to use. Kids enjoy using handheld devices. You can use a handheld device in the classroom in many different ways. It can be used as a calendar or an agenda or to record homework. You can listen to music. So if you're doing a unit on the jazz age, you can listen to some jazz music. You can obviously look things up on the internet. It can be used for word processing. It's not ideal because sometimes the screens can be pretty small, but in a pinch I've had students use it as a word processing device. You can read books on it, you can play games, you can take pictures, you can communicate on social networking sites, you can text information back and forth, it can be a calculator, you can do email, and then communication in the sense that kids who can't communicate verbally very well can use things like an iPad to communicate. We have many special ed students who have speech problems who use iPads in my school to communicate with their teachers. There are problems with handheld devices in the classroom. There are some kids who use them for cheating. I had a student this year who took a picture of her vocabulary list on her cell phone and used it to cheat on a test with. It can also be a distraction from the lesson. The kids can get so caught up in the technology that the point of the lesson is kind of lost. Children become used to being entertained by technology, so that other things like copying notes from the chalkboard seem incredibly boring. Sometimes children use the device for something other than the teacher's intended purpose, for texting or looking up football scores or whatever. The smaller screens can make tasks a little bit more challenging. There is the potential for them to be noisy and disruptive. And also, especially in schools like mine, there's the potential for theft. If a kid brings a device like that to school, they have to be very careful where they put it because it's an inner city school and theft is pretty common. In conclusion, this last slide kind of demonstrates the pros and the cons of using handheld devices in school. The first slide represents a discussion I had with my students today about The Scream by Edvard Munch, and basically they couldn't really remember exactly what it looked like. So one of the students pulled out his smartphone and he looked it up, and they were able to get a better idea of the painting, and they were able to pass it around much easier than if I had looked it up on my gigantic desktop and they had to all come and crowd around me. However, they also drive me crazy because they use their cell phones to text message in class constantly when they should be listening to what I'm saying. I do think that the benefits of using handheld technology in the classroom far outweigh the problems, and I think we're going to see a very big increase in teachers using them in the future to enhance their lessons, and I think that they are the technology wave of the future.